So, like, I know it's not Astro related, but did you see that Nick Castellanos hit a home run? First of all, the fact that we're opening this non-Astro after not making a video for like a week is insane. Second of all, yes, there has never been a more predictable thing to happen in the history of Major League Baseball. Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and I'm here to talk about the Astros and Mariners series, which took place over the weekend, which saw the Astros win the series 2 games out of 3, and in so doing, have claimed first place, not sole first place, but claimed first place with tiebreakers and such, of the American League West. Yes, it is outrageously funny, by the way. Something that very, very not long ago felt completely impossible and out of the question, which was the Astros, borderline just being in the playoff picture, let alone retaking first place of the division. I had given up that dream. I was like, man, maybe they can dig their way out of it and then to a wild card spot. But then the darndest thing happened, which is everyone in the West also at the same time was just like, hey, what if we didn't play baseball well? So the series kicks off Friday evening. You get a gem of a game out of Hunter Brown, who has really stepped up recently. Like, after, the fan base kind of bullied him into the dirt, he's just kind of come out of it and might be the newest and one of the better examples of the fact that bullying works. Speaking of bullying working, also in that first game, everyone who throws a ball from the circle. Like, by God, it was perfect. It was 6 innings of shutout baseball out of Hunter Brown. You then turned over to Abreu, and then Presley, and then Hader. Not the only time that combination would be used out of the pen. And it was great. They looked perfect. Like, it simply worked. The way God intended it to. And also the way Dana Brown intended it to. It was nice. And, like, beyond that, the craziest thing, right? They turned it over to 3 really, really talented and capable relievers, and I've finally gotten past the stage where I'm like, but what if the world ended when you turn it over to them? They've kind of graduated to where they're good again. It was this lovely change of pace, and it wasn't a game where you really felt concerned. The Astros jumped out early. You get Altuve and Yainer Diaz with some big hits, I want to say in the 3rd inning, to go up 1-0 and then 3-0, and it just felt like the Astros game. Obviously, a 3-0 game is not big. It still is a safe situation once you get to the 9th inning, but it never really felt in danger of floundering away. It was just a really solid game from the pitching staff. The offense did enough. They had their inning, which made it comfortable. I will say if it was only the Altuve hit, it would have felt far more precarious, but it's the Altuve hit mixed with Yainer, man. And that isn't the only time we're going to talk about Yainer, because he would homer in Game 2, and then if you move to Game 2, you get a solid outing out of Framber Valdez. It was just sort of a pitching outing. It wasn't this gem or anything to really write home about. I want to say it was 5 2/3, pair of runs given up, picked up, I want to say, 5 strikeouts to 4 walks. It was a perfectly cromulent game out of Framber Valdez. It was just kind of the epitome of what he was doing a couple years ago and was like, oh, look, it's a quality start. And I'm like, it was 5 innings of 3-run ball. Let's bring it down a little bit. It was fine. It was perfectly fine. Taylor Scott would come in. He picked up the win for this game for 4 pitches. Yeah, wins and losses are just such a dumb thing that we still use, but, beside the point. The Astros, funnily enough, got on the board first in that game. Jeremy Pena with an RBI base hit to put them up 1-0, which is wild because it felt like a total comeback, but they had the lead to begin with. Then you get Julio Rodriguez getting a 2-run homer. Not to be outdone, however, Jake Myers with a 2-run homer late in the game gives the Astros a lead, and then Yainer with a Yainer bomb to just kind of sign, seal, and deliver it. And then again, you get the same trio. You go Abreu, Presley, and Hader. And again, you feel fine. When the Astros took the lead, it felt like, all right, the game's in hand. I wasn't concerned about the fact that it was the same guys going again on back-to-back nights. You know why I wasn't? Because they finally put most of those fears to bed. Not just them, but the team in general. They are back to what we considered to be the standard. This isn't a team like last year, where they spent, and granted, I'm pretty sure at some earlier points of the season they had kind of threatened to once again take the lead in the division. But it just felt like the division of mid. I don't look at the Astros, or the Mariners for that fact, as mid. They're good baseball teams. And, man, that's just so nice to say again. This doesn't feel like last season when it's like, it's the battle of just a bunch of teams that don't want to win the division. These are 2 teams that want to win the division. They are two very competitive teams. The Astros have done a lot to climb back into this and be not just a kind of their team, where last year it was, they won the division, but then they were just barely strangling, holding on to that third spot because they won the division by default, even though if it was just win-based, I want to say they would have been like 5th in the American League. That division was not the greatest, guys. Like, it really just kind of was there. This is two good teams in a competitive situation. It wasn't that I felt, oh, well, it's not a great team. No. I felt comfortable because those guys in Abreu, Presley, and Hader have regained form. And I felt confident in this team, not because they've taken back first place and are just kind of the best of the mid. I feel confident again because they have shown they're not mid, they are good. Genuinely, unquestionably good. And ironically, that takes you into the final game of the series, which they would lose. And it was just a loss. It wasn't anything huge. Ronel Blanco wasn't great. It wasn't like a total blow-up. I want to say he finished with 5 strikeouts, couple of walks given up. Gave up 4 runs, which obviously isn't great. That was, a large part of it. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't a panic blow-up. It was just well, that sucks. And that's a nice thing to have. I have confidence that he'll rebound the next time out. And, again, this is a series. This is a kind of a month, a period of time where the Astros have regained the confidence of at least myself, and I feel really the entire fan base. They have come back out of that horrid hole they've dug. And I reiterate that multiple times almost every time I come on here because that's not something that just kind of happens. It is incredibly difficult to climb out of that pit, A, so quickly, and B, to, be kind of back in the conversation with all of the other teams. Yes, there's still a bit of a gap between the Astros and other teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Orioles, but it's still early enough in the season. I mean, we're around game, 100 or so. It's not out of the question that they can get back up there with teams like the Yankees, like the Orioles, like the Twins. Or not the Twins, the Guardians. They're at about 59 to 60 wins. The Astros right now sit at 52. And an extra win every other week gets you right alongside them. If you can just barely outplay them, you're going to be alongside them by the end of it. And again, that's not where they were last year. This game for today, the final game where they lose 6-4, it was a bummer. You have the consolation prize of Yordan Alvarez hitting for the cycle, which is a fun little tainted memory for everybody involved. File that alongside, granted not quite to the degree, but you can file that lovingly alongside Altuve, hit number 2,000, being out trying to stretch it to a double. And also, not to be outdone, Craig Biggio hit number 3,000, being out for a double. Have I ever mentioned, guys, the fact that it's more common than not that when you hit a 2,000 or 3,000 hit milestone with the Houston Astros as a franchise, it's more likely that you're going to be thrown out than actually be safe? And you might say, Weston, that's a really oddly, obscure and specific thing. And I would say, yeah, but, do you understand the mathematical odds of it happening twice? And you have some fun because Jeremy Pena homered and Chas McCormick had a base hit for an RBI late in the game. They did not end up coming back in this game, but, you thought they could. That is a testament to what the Astros have done, by the way, because now when they score runs later in games, I'm not just sitting here like a cynical jerk going, oh, it's garbage time, who cares? I'm like, hey, they might be doing the thing, which is, again, night and day difference from where we were, very, very, very recently. And now the Astros, after taking the lead for the division, are given a gift in the scheduling. Because they play a 3-game series, unfortunately in Oakland, against the team that is still currently known as the Oakland Athletics. And fun little thing about the Oakland Athletics, they are, and I mean this in the very nicest way because I know Oakland A's fans, at least those 5 of them on Twitter, did not like it when people point out true facts, are not good. So you should theoretically be able to got at bare minimum win the series. I understand it's crazy because I feel any time asking for it is absurd. This is a series, especially following where you're able to retake the lead for the division, that you'd really like to see them just simply sweep it outright and win all of them. And honestly, I think there is a solid likelihood that they can do that. The first game is going to be tomorrow evening at 9:40 Eastern, 8:40 Central, and I will be here after the series to discuss everything that happened. As for right now, that is all I have to say, so if you enjoyed this video, please consider to like and subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Astros.